to be talking about what diversity means to you. Just so you know, Small Talk Big Issues is a conversation series where it's online, it's web, and it's interactive to have an open dialogue about current events and conversations regarding diversity, inclusion, and intersectionality affecting our campus and Paterson community. So we're going to go through and introduce one another. So, Yankee, you can start.
So hello, my name is Yankee. I am a senior and legal studies and political science major.
My name is Zed. I'm a financial planning major and I'm a senior.
I'm Matthew. I am a history major and I'm a senior.
My name's Dediana. I'm an art education major and I'm a senior.
And I'm Steven. I'm a resident director on campus. So we're going to get started with the kind of question that starts this whole entire topic tonight is, what does diversity mean to you? And I'm wondering if you guys can explain that to me. What do you think diversity means to you?
For me, I think diversity means that recognizing everyone is unique and just making sure that you guys you recognize that everyone is different. Like either it could be race, it could be gender, like religion, it could be a lot of things, sexual orientation, the list goes on. And then making sure you acknowledge that and respect everyone's different.
Yeah, I like that. I feel as though on the note of difference, that's something I've definitely noticed in terms of diversity. Growing up, I always had pita bread, peanut butter, and jelly sandwiches, and that's not normal. I soon realized. But in terms of difference, that's 100%. Realizing that your cultural background is different from what's normal.
Yeah. It's also having and acknowledging, but not making sure you have people from different backgrounds and different races, different genders, sexuality. Because so often, especially in our society, we tend to go with one.
Yeah, just having like all those different types of people represented is important, because I think it's important for people to see someone like themselves, like I guess in a public setting. So yeah, it's just like having somebody to relate to is very important.
Do you think that's impactful here at William Paterson?
For sure. I think William Paterson is a really diverse campus just because we have so many different types of people here from all different races, all different backgrounds, all different places from around New Jersey and America in general. So yeah, I think people can come here and like find people that are like them, especially like we have so many clubs for different parts of the world on William Paterson. Like you can most likely find a club for like where you're from and find people that are like you. So yeah, I think it's definitely going to be really just something around here.
What about you, Matthew? What do you think?
For William Paterson's
Yeah.
campus, I think we do a very diverse campus, being where we are, and in juxtaposition with other colleges nearby that aren't like William Paterson. And it's also interesting just because of where we are in Wayne and Paterson, so we have the mix of mixes of socioeconomic classes, and just there's sometimes a clear line from some things you see happening on campus, which is unfortunate. But then also the other issue is how the student body is represented by the administration, and if it matches.
For sure, I think William Paterson is diversity. I think we epitomize what a diverse university is. And amongst diversity is that acceptance. Accepting your own diversity and the diversity of others. At William Paterson, I've been able to get a feel for different cultures and get an idea of the way different cultures express their cultural pride. And we have a lot of events on campus that do a good job at promoting those things as well. That's something that I love.
So like what you guys said, William Paterson does have a lot of clubs and organizations, and it is definitely diverse. I remember when I first applied to become an RA, like one of the first questions was like, hey, like what does diversity mean to you? And that's the same answer that I gave. Diversity is, I feel like everyone is, at William Paterson, everyone is diverse, and I think it is good that since it is a university, I saw kids who come from like California, even though it's in New Jersey, it's like across the whole United States. But to me, I feel like even though it's diverse, people should learn to learn different cultures, not stay within their own cultures, and get to know other people. Because what's the point of having diversity in your school when you're only with like that your own same culture. You know, you never learn about different cultures, and even after college, then where are you gonna have the opportunity to learn?
So do you think your definition of diversity is affected by who you are as a person and your experiences?
I would think so. I mean, also depending on like how you're raised and what you see as different.
So what do you mean by that?
So you'd have people who are raised be like, oh, this one thing is fine. And diversity could be like different types of that one thing. But then there's, oh, there could be too much. When, you know, for someone else it'd be like, this would be accurately representing me and everyone else.
Right. Okay.
I think diversity definitely can educate someone in terms of, you know, other cultures that are present. You know, to be more accepting as well as more aware of the things that, you know, cultures appreciate or don't appreciate. You know, on both sides.
I think you definitely get to open your eyes by learning from your parents or your environment, the environment you're in. For William Paterson, because you know this is the school we go to, since it is such a diverse campus, people should learn to accept others. But like it doesn't happen right away. It's how they're raised. I remember like since I'm an international student who came from South Korea, and since South Korea is all South Koreans, obviously it's not American. It's a lot of immigrants. But South Korea, I remember how like a lot of my friends are like when I was coming to America, a lot of my friends before I went to America told me that hey, like make sure you know like they always I can't even say that word. Stereotype. Yeah, they just stereotype everyone. You know, this type of group is you gotta watch out for them. This type of group you can hang out with. And it's like that's just a stereotype. Like so, I learned more when I came to America because when I came to America in 6th grade, I went to a diverse middle school. Since being a diverse middle school, I was like, hey, like the stereotype isn't even true. Like I got to learn other different cultures. I appreciated that. But in our where I grew up, we don't see that because we only see our what we grew up with in our culture.
Do you guys think the dynamics of diversity and its definition in general has changed over the years?
Yes.
I would think so. It also depends on country. But focusing on America, it's been very centered on one thing, the entirety of it, and it's just been the outliers of what America is considered have been one thing and then multiple things, and then they haven't even considered other stuff. And
so what other things have they not considered?
well, so it's been white men, and so then it was like African Americans and women, and then they're talking about Native Americans, and like that's a lot. Of course, there's more to more than that, and it's changed. Whereas it could have meant having like, oh look, we hired a black person, and now it's like that's not no, it doesn't work.
Yeah, I think people are realizing more like you can't just hire one token black person to be the black person of the place. And I think these days things have become more diverse, just like accepting different types of people. I think especially in terms of like sexuality and gender, because I feel like not even that long ago it was just like the standards like boy, girl, that's it, straight, gay. But now, like, there's a lot more representation, like people speaking up, to be represented in society, like all the different genders, all the different sexualities. I think it's a lot more talked about. Like Sam Smith just came out saying their pronouns are they, them, and like that's a really big star. And not everybody's okay with that, but it's becoming more prominent than it was a couple of years ago.
Do you guys think that openness to diversity and that acceptance has helped younger people identify themselves as who they are?
Yes.
Earlier with. And how do you guys think that has an effect at our college campuses? Because you have students now that are maybe coming in a little bit more aware of who they are. Do you think that has any effect here in our campus at William Paterson?
Yeah, I feel like I've always heard that like people usually find themselves when they go to college. Like, for example, if someone is gay, like they won't come out until they get to college. But I think now with how things are, people might be like realizing these things about themselves and coming to terms and accepting it a lot earlier, so they'll be coming here kind of already knowing who they are and having a grip on that.
I also did hear that college is the place where you get to actually like learn about yourself. Because I remember in high school, a lot of people like they're very judgmental in high school. You know, if you like let's say that if you are gay, if you come out and then you get picked on and you get bullied, you know, and in college like everyone's open about it. This is the time you can learn, educate yourself, learn about yourself, and you know do what's right for you.
Yeah, I think 100% college is a great place where you can find yourself and who you are. And I think diversity only allows people to educate themselves on those things. I think a fear regarding diversity just comes from a place of not knowing. So in any sense of that, diversity can educate people to be more open with themselves, with other people, be more knowledgeable, and more respectful.
Yes. So you mentioned the fear of the unknown. So what ways on our campus do you think we can use that to promote and respect diversity with one another? How do we get rid of that fear of the unknown, or how do we cross those barriers?
Educating people about things, making things more known, even something like people talking about their pronouns.
Yeah.
Or some people do it, but here it's not consistent. Where in other schools, like every professor asks that at the beginning of every semester to their class, preferred name and pronouns. And so people don't recognize things here. For instance, there's also a lot of people who think, oh, I can't be trans because I haven't transitioned. And it's like, that's not, you don't even need to ever medically transition to be trans. You can say, I'm trans. And no one can stop me.
Yeah.
I think in order to help diversify and educate other people who just got into college or who are in college about diversity, since we all work for Res Life, we are role models. People do look up to us. So if, for RAs or even for DAs, when people come by, hey, just educate them. Or as RAs, we get to meet all of our residents with the halls, and sometimes I do see a lot of people just hanging out with their own cultures, right? And I ask them, hey, why don't you come out with hang out with us or hang out with my residents? And then we also have programs. We have programs for let's say that for example, we have a program for ice cream social. Not just one culture, not just Asian people are gonna go there. And they're hey, a lot of everyone, all my residents come. That's where they get to actually talk. And hey, I didn't know you live here. I didn't know about your culture. I remember when we had an ice cream social in Hillside, there was there was a resident who thought I was Chinese. I was like, no, I'm not Chinese, because he thought it was just all Asian people were Chinese. But I was like, hey, I'm Korean. And he was like, oh, you're Korean. And I actually taught him about Korean history and Korean culture. And he was like, wow, I didn't know that. Actually, I'm half Korean too. I was like, wow, that's crazy. But yeah, I taught him about my culture, and he appreciated it. And now he doesn't assume that all Asians are Chinese people.
You can see it definitely opens the way to educate people and inform them on things that they might not have gotten the chance to be informed of. I think that's definitely a benefit that we have here at William Paterson. Being so diverse, we understand that diversity extends a lot further than nationality and things that people just see on the surface. A really great thing you mentioned earlier was you knew a student from California, and I think that's great because diversity extends a lot further than just ethnic backgrounds. It could come from where you grew up, or the different state, or things like that.
So how do we continue to promote diversity and inclusion, not just on our campus, but in our communities and globally as well? Because you're college students, you're going to want to get out there after this and be global citizens. It's a part of going to college, is being prepared to do that. How do you then promote that at your job that you might have after college, or in your community where you choose to live?
For me, how I I live in a very white bread town. And white bread. And so I would push for things because they're important to me. And there are other things that are also important to me, but that's why I wouldn't feel right going forward with them, but I can link to other people who be more knowledgeable. But in the future, it's a lot of, I think it's work. It's definitely, and some people don't want to do that and understand that. And of course, it's hard. It takes effort and confidence, but it's some of that's going to be required because you gotta sort of pave the way so other people can not have the struggle you did.
Right. Yeah. I would add on that I think also it's a matter of not shying away from diversity. It's something to be proud of.
Yeah.
I've spoken with a lot of students who felt shy about their backgrounds, and that's something to be proud of. It's something to accept and just kind of own, because that makes you who you are, and that's
I think.
You can go.
Okay, I was gonna say, we are living in a day and age where social media is a thing, and that's really powerful because you can go on social media and pretty much say whatever you want, and you can find resources for pretty much anything. Like, I've learned so much on social media that like they never told us in school growing up. So like, it's definitely really powerful if you want to educate people on different things like diversity. Like, you can use social media, you can find different resources, like different Instagram accounts, different websites that teach people about things, and it's really easy to spread things.
It also definitely starts with you too, because like if you don't want to put in an effort, and no one's gonna put in an effort. It's like one of those bystander effects. If someone passes out, like I'm thinking that you're gonna call like the ambulance, but you're thinking that I'm gonna call the ambulance. Someone has to start, and as people who went to college or people who went to high school, so we do have a higher education. We have to push forward and try to educate other people about diversity.
So what might you ask your peers to do to promote diversity and inclusion?
For me, I think I'll just ask them, hey, like, do you want to hang out? And then when we hang out, and then I'll tell them about my culture, and I'll want to listen about them, about their. It's not even culture-wise, but I just want to get to know them. Because diversity can mean a lot of things. It's because everyone, like I said before, everyone is unique, and just getting to know that person and them getting to know me, I think that means diversity.
Yeah, I'd say to ask people to speak on their diversity, share their experiences that are different from ours, and more often than not, there's some things that you can relate on, and then you kind of make a friend through that.
Yeah. Because I'm the president of Pride Alliance at William Paterson, the issue, I can't say, hey guys, tell everyone about your experience right now. And some people also don't feel comfortable talking about it or acknowledging it themselves. So it's not something I can just say. And the position I am in is that, so I know it's hard for other people. So I feel like I should do as much as I can to make it easier for others. But with us just starting it, like even talking amongst the LGBT community, because there's people who still have stereotypes of other types, or still have certain beliefs, or just don't know things.
Right.
And sharing those experiences and seeing how people are similar to one another, or people realize something about themselves, is really important. Obviously, if we want to go further, with people who aren't part of the LGBT community, and so that's where we take in like other programming and stuff.
Yeah, and I think like specifically on the Willie P campus, you could encourage your friends to go with you to different events that different clubs have, like even if it doesn't apply to you specifically, like your background or what you associate with, you could go and learn about things, like educate yourself with your friends. And I think that would be a good thing, because there's so many clubs here, they're always doing different events, so it's open to the public, you should definitely go.
Right.
We have a lot of like clubs that are focused on cultural belonging, and at William Paterson, you have the opportunity to kind of go into a club meeting and feel fully accepted, and that's something that people on the surface might feel nervous about. Hey, I'm not familiar with this club. The club isn't my culture. Would I be accepted there? The answer is yes. You'll always be accepted there. Because with that, they'll be able to share their experiences and yours.
So Matthew, we're talking a little bit about people maybe not feeling comfortable always talking about their experiences and their stories. What ways do you think we can create a culture of caring where we can actually have those individuals feel more comfortable talking about those experiences?
Part of it is, especially with the LGBT issues, that people aren't accepted by their family, and so that can also be like a root cause of it if they hear that their entire lives, and it's really a hard hit for people if their family doesn't accept them. But something I've learned is also like your found family, and you don't need to. It's the same thing as if you go back to on Christmas dinner and they hate your relatives and it's terrible and everyone's just trying to. You don't need to do that. You don't need to force yourself to do that. You should have a dinner with your friends, people who love you and you love them and care about them. So it's finding and surrounding yourself with people who will help you and validate you, and working on educating other people so it starts more instead of just brushing people off.
Yeah.
And so even like younger people who, you know, I know it's like at this age, if like a middle school or high schooler, they can be kind of not like weird or hard to talk to. But if you shut them down, they will remember that, and that will deeply affect them. And it's just like us, like where we are, we need to remember like how much we affect other people.
Anything else?
I was gonna say something wrong. Just lost my thought.
I think we've definitely come a long way in terms of the internet and, you know, the kind of lingo that was frequently used amongst the internet. I think that through education, people have understood that the terms one might be using offend other people or affect other people in a negative way. You know, I think with that is just a growth amongst our generation, honestly. Yeah.
I remember it
You
now.
came back to your
Yeah.
thought. Okay, good.
So it might be hard to talk about those topics because, you know, one may feel uncomfortable, but it's really important to realize that, you know, you have to be there for that person, and show empathy, not sympathy. Because I was thinking about an example, right? Let's say that, for example, sympathy would be like, you know, if someone is bi, and then I go up to that person and be like, hey, you know, like, I know you're bisexual, but like, at least now you like males and females, you have a better chance of getting with someone, right? But like, empathy is like, hey, like, I understand, like, and then just being there for that person and listening, make sure, because listening is really important. I heard a quote saying like, God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth. You know, listening is really important. But anyways, yeah, just making sure being there for that person, and you can't force someone to talk about these experiences, but sometimes they don't want attention, but they do seek help, and then just being there for that person does really help.
You are absolutely right on the empathy thing. It's a big topic actually in DBT, so like dialectical behavioral therapy. And empathy is understanding someone, and sympathy is feeling bad for them. So it's there's a good video by Brene Brown about empathy versus sympathy. And another thing also we do all the time, especially as like in America at least, is we silver line stuff. Where it's like, oh, at least you can still do this. And that completely invalidates someone's whole issue. So if you're like having issues where it's like you're like, let's say white and you're LGBT, where it's like, well, at least you don't have to face racism. It's like, racism is also a problem.
Yeah.
Homophobia is a problem too. We should think about both. And it's just, or if people have depression. And it's just like, well, you know, you're not a starving child. It's like, okay, cool, I still have depression.
Yeah.
I still feel bad all the time. And it's so important to not, it's easy for us to just express things. We're a culture of lying about how we feel, saying, oh, it's okay, it's fine, forget about it. And it's okay to be honest, but you just need to know how you're affecting other people.
Okay. So you guys are kind of alluding to this a little bit about social media and other media and stuff. How do you think that has played into perceptions about diversity?
You talked about Sam Smith.
Yes.
So that's really important because I go by he, they pronouns, and a lot of people also in the past are very just like, well, they, then, it's not grammatically correct, including like my doctors. It's just like, hey.
It's in the dictionary now. So
Yeah, and so like something like that has pushed and it's been put in the dictionary and it's just a big slap in the face of everyone just like, you can't be right, that's terrible. And like that wouldn't have happened without social media and other news, and in fact also we have control over our social media, such a difference where, you know, otherwise things could have been like completely like filtered. And we can talk about it, and we can say other things, and it's also with like celebrities saying things that are bad, and everyone reacts to that and says no.
Yeah.
Where it's just, you know, we couldn't do that when it was just like them and us. There's no way to interact. This like it bridges the connection.
do you think it's bridged the connection in a good or a bad way?
Both.
I think yeah, both.
Okay, how so?
If like for good, like if a celebrity like says that, hey, like if they come out or like if they open up, like they talk about their diversity or their culture experiences, then other people are like, oh wow, like I feel the same thing. If a celebrity feels it, then everyone knows about it. I feel more open to talk about it. Instead, but if a celebrity like talks bad about it, talking about like talking good about it. I know, like, I think Lady Gaga or I forgot one celebrity. She started like someone did a hate comment, and then she started like she posted it like, hey, like this isn't right, like I strongly like believe in the LGBTQ community and stuff like that. And then people actually supported her and then people became more open. But talking about the bad things about social media is if someone does say something bad about it, then it spreads on because it's not like it's open to the world.
The people who pile on.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
hey, they're gonna hate.
Even over the sorry.
I'm sorry.
Well, it's like even over the smallest things, people get so much hate for it, and it's very toxic.
I was gonna say cancel culture is
Yeah.
extremely toxic.
Mhm.
It's good that people are very quick to like be like, no, you can't say that. That's not okay. But then it's like the whole world kind of turns against one person, and they're just like for the rest of their life, like they're just embodied by like this one bad thing they said. So that's like the good and the bad. It's really good that like people are more educated.
Yeah.
And they're very quick to shut down like negativity, racism, all that stuff. But the whole like shunning of the person, they're canceled forever. Like, that's not really a good thing because people do need to grow, and I think people should be forgiven for their mistakes. Like
They do it
most
to
of the
like
time.
child stars too.
Yeah.
And it's like do you remember what you were like when you were a kid?
Yeah. Oh no.
So what is that like then for an adult though? So if an adult starts to make a statement that might be seen either racist, homophobic, or xenophobic, whatever it might be, and we hit that cancel react basically, we're gonna cancel it. How do you think that compares to if someone is a child or a young adult who's still learning? Are expectations different, right?
Yeah, I would imagine that in part with cancel culture, you're trying to affect something that person cares about and kind of send them that message through those means. Though, I understand that that's, you're losing out on an opportunity to educate someone. By turning that into a combative argument over Twitter, you're not getting anywhere. You're not going to change anyone's opinion by arguing with them. But, by taking that neutral stance and sort of educating them, making them aware of a part of life that they might not have been aware of, can really create change. Something else.
Are there any examples of that you can think about? I know I'm putting you on the spot for that. Anything that comes to mind?
Taking a moment to educate someone.
Yeah, taking a moment to educate someone, maybe someone changed the way that they thought, or how they act, or how they behave.
I've learned with what I'm doing is that, obviously if someone's like vehemently like bigoted, you really want to be like, oh my god, shut up. And it's really tiring to educate them, and we shouldn't have to, but sometimes also if you just like reach out gently and do it, it can fix things. Because also if you're wildly gay, like I am, and then you're mean to them, they're like, well, see, all of them are terrible and toxic. And you just sometimes have to use choice language and to get on the same ground. And it's effort, but it works. Not all the time, but a good amount of time.
An example I have, a friend of mine who's Middle Eastern. Generally, Middle Eastern culture frowns upon, being revealing. So this person was, in a sense, slut-shaming someone. But then they were soon educated that, that doesn't make them any negative connotation, but it's more so coming from a pride of, your own body and being proudful of that. So I think instead of the person who came in and spoke with him, really changed his persona and perspective, for the long term. And then from the rest of the kid's life, he'll be able to understand that people have a right to be proud.
Yeah. Sometimes people just don't know they're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
If someone just yelling at you, it's like the same thing where it's just like if your parents yell at you for no reason, it's like, cool, I'm not gonna listen to you. But if they're like, I understand why you think this, but this is harmful to this or whatever, then they're like, oh, I see. Like, if I do something wrong, people are just like, I hate you, bye. I don't know what I did wrong, I can't fix it.
Yeah.
I want to fix it. I want to make sure it doesn't happen again.
Yeah. Okay. Something Matt said that I want to talk about. He mentioned that people saying they or them is incorrect grammar. I mean, like, all things are man-made, so then what's correct? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, in a sense, like, what's...
Let's talk about
They
Old
made it all
English.
up.
Yeah, so I mean, no one is in a place to say what's right or wrong, because we're all in an enigma of.
Everything is man-made.
Yeah, exactly.
We created this. We made words.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we can change them.
We made the word selfie.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did.
That's recent.
Slowly coming soon.
No.
No. So, kind of wrapping up this about social media, what might be the best ways that you yourselves as students and your peers or folks that you interact with can best use those outlets of like social media and other media for good and promoting diversity? Obviously, you're not running a company or something like that, and you have your own logo. I mean, if you do that, that's great. Maybe in the future you will too. You change it however you want. But in what ways do you feel like you can do that now?
I think the most simplest thing, how like everyone has social media, Instagram, just if you see something that's very meaningful and that you think it will educate other people, make sure you share it. Because if you share it, all your followers will see it, they see it, and then they're like, oh wow, this is really good. Maybe they'll share it, and then all their followers, and then next thing you know, 1 billion people will see it. There you go. Simple thing.
And there's a power to understanding your influence, not only amongst your circle, but the outer circles, and the outer circles, So just understanding, the things you do on social media is seen by many people, and some people think about that, and they could change their opinions or perspectives, and that's important.
If you're vocal about your beliefs on your social media, then the people that follow you and all your friends will know that, and that can be a way for you to educate them on different things, and thus they know, and then they can tell people, and so on and so on. Like you were saying, it's just really a chain reaction. If you put something on the internet, it's there forever, anyone can see it, and it's definitely really powerful. Like even just sharing something that somebody else wrote. Like you don't have to go out and make something yourself. If you see something that you agree with, you can share it, and then other people will see it.
A lot of stuff I learned about myself and about other people is from the internet, other people's experiences, and if they hadn't shared those things, I wouldn't have learned about it. Yeah. So, yeah, sharing your experiences is definitely valuable.
Okay. Well, we thank you guys for coming here today and chatting about this with us. Always appreciate that. We'll be having another one of these coming up on Monday, October 7th at 7 p.m. We'll be discussing particularly around LGBT plus communities, focusing more on trans communities and trans rights and activism. Also, we're looking for more participants for this group, so if you ever feel free that you want to get in contact with one of us, you can send an email to markss1@wpunj.edu. I forgot my email there for a second. So thank you for tuning in and listening.